Ethan Cross never expected that an ordinary night in the city would become the final night of his first life. The streets were crowded. Cars rushed through the rain-soaked roads. People walked beneath the bright city lights, completely unaware of what was about to happen. Then, a little girl suddenly ran into the middle of the road. A speeding truck was heading straight toward her. Ethan saw her. There was no time to think, no time to hesitate. He simply ran. He pushed the girl out of the truck's path, and then everything went dark. When Ethan opened his eyes again, there was nothing around him. No ground, no sky, no sound. Only endless darkness. He slowly looked around. Where am I? Before he could understand what was happening, a strange mechanical voice echoed through the void. Soul detected. Ethan froze. Another message appeared. Cause of death. Self-sacrifice. Ethan stared at the words. So it was true. He was dead. His first life had ended. But then, a new message appeared. Special reincarnation opportunity detected. Ethan's eyes widened. Reincarnation? A second life? In another world? He didn't hesitate. He accepted. But something unexpected happened. Strange energy suddenly began gathering around his soul. 6 enormous symbols appeared from the darkness. A sword, an eye, a flame, a magic circle, a crown, and finally, a mysterious black star. Ethan stared at them in confusion. Then, the first system activated. Status system. A blue holographic window appeared before him. Then, the second system activated. Battle system. A golden window appeared. The third followed. Infinite inventory system. Then came the fourth. Magic creation system. The fifth system appeared next. Divine summoning system. But the sixth system was different. Its name was unknown. Its function was unknown. Even the system itself couldn't identify it. 6 systems surrounded Ethan. 6 mysterious powers. For one soul. Then, a gigantic golden magic circle appeared beneath him. His reincarnation was beginning. Ethan's soul was pulled downward. He fell through a tunnel filled with stars and galaxies. Far below him was another world. A world of magic. A world of monsters. A world of kingdoms. And gods. Ethan opened his eyes again. But this time, he was no longer Ethan Cross. He was a newborn baby. A beautiful, silver-haired woman was holding him gently in her arms. She looked down at him with tears of happiness in her emerald eyes. My baby. Ethan looked at his tiny hands. He had truly been reborn. Then, a familiar blue system appeared before him. His new name was Cale Draven. Cale stared at the system. He quickly realized something. He still had all 6 systems. Even after reincarnation, they had followed him. But there was something even more unusual about Cale. Even as a newborn, his eyes contained the intelligence of someone who had already lived an entire lifetime. 10 years passed. Cale was no longer a baby. He had grown into a quiet young boy with messy black hair and mysterious golden eyes. He lived with his mother in the peaceful village of Ravenwood. To everyone else, Cale was just an ordinary child. But secretly, he was anything but ordinary. Every morning, Cale trained his body. Every afternoon, he practiced swordsmanship. And every day, his systems gave him new quests. With every completed quest, he became stronger. His strength increased. His speed increased. His intelligence increased. Even his mana continued to grow. But Cale wanted more. He wanted to understand magic. One day, he stood alone in the forest and raised his hand. Magical energy gathered around his fingers. Purple runes appeared in the air. Cale concentrated. Then, golden lightning suddenly exploded from his hand. The lightning formed the shape of a sword. A magnificent golden blade appeared before him. Cale stared at it in amazement. He had created a new spell. Then his magic creation system displayed its rank. S, S, S. Cale's eyes widened. An S ranked spell, and he had created it himself. But Cale didn't realize that someone had been watching him. An ancient mage named Aldrich stood beneath a nearby tree. The old mage had long white hair, a long beard, and mysterious golden eyes. He had seen everything. Aldrich smiled. This boy, he isn't normal. Cale suddenly sensed another presence. He turned around. His golden eyes became serious. For the first time, someone had discovered his secret. But before Cale could learn what Aldrich wanted, a new danger appeared. That night, dozens of dark figures moved silently through the forest. They were assassins. Every one of them wore the same symbol, a terrifying seven-headed dragon, the symbol of the divine church. Cale suddenly woke up. Something was wrong. Something was wrong. His system confirmed it. Hostile presence detected. A moment later, the front door exploded. A masked assassin entered with his sword drawn. He immediately attacked, but Cale didn't panic. He simply watched the blade coming toward him. Then, he activated his status system. His physical power increased instantly. The assassin swung his sword, but Cale disappeared. In the blink of an eye, he appeared behind the assassin. One punch. That was all it took. The assassin was sent crashing across the room. Another assassin attacked, this time with fire magic. A giant fireball flew toward Cale. Cale calmly raised one hand. Water wall. A massive wave appeared before him. The fire disappeared into the water. Steam filled the room. Cale then opened his infinite inventory. A red dimensional portal appeared. Inside were countless magical weapons and artifacts. Cale reached inside and pulled out a legendary black sword, the Demon King's Blade. Another assassin attacked. Their swords collided, but Cale's weapon was far stronger. The assassin's sword shattered instantly. The remaining enemies realized something terrifying. This wasn't an ordinary child. But Cale wasn't finished. He activated his divine summoning system. A massive magic circle appeared beneath his feet. The entire battlefield began shaking. A huge portal opened behind him. Something enormous stepped through. A gigantic white wolf. Its eyes glowed blue. Its body was covered in divine energy. Its name was Fenrir. Fenrir raised his head and roared. The entire forest shook. The assassins froze. For the first time, they were afraid. They had come to capture a child. Instead, they had awakened a monster. But then Cale noticed something strange. A mysterious black symbol had appeared on his hand. His sixth system was finally activating. A black holographic window appeared before him. One word appeared on the screen. Devour. Cale stared at the ability. Its power was terrifying. He could consume the strength of anything he defeated. Cale slowly smiled. His six systems were finally beginning to reveal their true potential. By sunrise, the battle was over. Cale stood alone in the forest. Around him floated the six systems that had changed his destiny. Status, battle, inventory, magic creation, divine summoning, and devour. But then, Cale looked toward the horizon. 7 enormous pillars of light had appeared in the sky. Something had noticed him. Far above the mortal world, 7 divine kings opened their eyes. They had sensed Cale's existence. They didn't see him as a child. They saw him as a future threat. One of the divine kings slowly stood from his celestial throne. His voice echoed through the heavens. Find him, and kill him before he becomes powerful enough to challenge us. At that exact moment, Cale received another system notification. Main quest activated. The message appeared before him. Surpass the gods. Cale stared at the objective. The enemies waiting for him were gods. Failure meant death. But Cale wasn't afraid. He clenched his fist. Then he looked toward the heavens. 7 gods stood above him. 7 beings who believed themselves untouchable. Cale smiled. Perfect. The boy who had once died saving a stranger had been reborn with 6 systems. He wasn't an ordinary human. He wasn't a chosen hero. And he wasn't a god. Not yet. His journey had only begun. Because one day, Cale Draven would stand above the gods themselves. And when that day came, the entire world